This video is about special markings and symbols that you will see on geometric diagrams. For example, do you know what this symbol here means? What these marks mean? Do you know what they're called? Similarly, what about these arrows? And what's the difference between these arrows and these arrows here? Well, keep watching this video to find out. Let's talk about the first sketch. We have a triangle. It's a three-sided polygon. This symbol here tells us we have a right angle. So whenever you see something that looks like this, you know you've got a right angle, a 90-degree angle. That means this is a right-angled triangle. Now we've also got these two symbols here. These are called hatch marks. Now these hatch marks tell us that the two sides are the same length. So this one and this one, because they've both got the same kind of hatch mark, are the same length. Now, a triangle that has two sides that are the same length is an isosceles triangle. So this triangle here is both right-angled and isosceles. Let's have a look at question B. Now, we've got a quadrilateral. It's got four sides. And this pair of sides have got these arrow markings. These tell us that those two sides are parallel. That means that the perpendicular distance between them is always the same. It also means that in 2 dimensions, if you extended these forever, those lines would still never meet. It's just worth noting that two parallel sides don't have to be the same length. So in this case, all these arrows are telling us is that these two are parallel. It's not telling us that they are the same length. So just bear that in mind. Don't get mixed up between these arrows and these hatch marks. There are no other points of interest on this sketch. So we know it's a quadrilateral. We know that it's got at least one pair of parallel sides. So what we can say is that this is a trapezium. Let's move on to question C. In this shape, you can see these arrow markings here and here, which means these two sides are parallel. Now, we've got a double arrow marking here and here. The point of this is to show that these two sides are parallel, but we're using a different style of arrow to show that these two are not parallel to the original two parallel sides. If we just used a single arrow here and here, it would look like all four sides are parallel, but that's just not true. Now, suppose we had a shape with lots more sides and it had a third pair of parallel sides. Then we would show they were parallel using a triple arrow marker. The point is, if you've got lines parallel to each other, you can use an arrow marker. But then if you've got a different set of parallel lines that is not parallel to any of the lines in the first set, then you need to use a different arrow marker. So, what can we deduce about this shape? Well, it has 5 sides, so it's a pentagon that has one pair of parallel sides here and a second pair of parallel sides here. So that makes it a pentagon with 2 pairs of parallel sides. Let's move on to the next examples. In question D, we have a 4-sided shape, so this is a quadrilateral. As we saw earlier, we've got hatch marks. Now, these hatch marks tell us that these two sides are the same length. But we've also got these double hatch marks, and what these are telling us is that these two sides are the same length. Now, why are these hatch marks different? Well, the point is that if they were all the same, that would be suggesting that we had 4 sides that were all the same length, and in that case we'd have a rhombus. However, this is not suggesting that. This is telling us that we've got these two that are the same length and these two that are the same length, but that might be different from the original two. So, what have we got here? Well, we've got a quadrilateral where we have one pair of adjacent sides of equal length and a second pair of adjacent sides of equal length. So that makes this a kite. Let's move on to question E. In question E, we've got some angle markers, and then we've got some double angle markers. Now, you might be able to guess what's going on. The double angle markers show that these angles are equal, and these single angle markers show that these two are equal. We just have to be careful, however, because sometimes we use single angle markers just to show angles that aren't necessarily equal. Now, actually, from the information we've got here, we can deduce quite a lot. We can deduce something about which sides are going to be equal and how many lines of symmetry this shape has. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to keep it simple, and we're just going to say that this is a hexagon. It's got 6 sides, and this hexagon has one pair of equal angles and another 4 separately equal angles.